do.
Okay. Most of these shots are just for me. They're just like position, locations, and settings and so forth. If there's an issue with the home, I'm going to try to put a photograph in there. I'll be as clear as I can and simple as I can. Most of them are self-explanatory, and we will talk as needed with whatever else questions you do have. For me, condition. Today's standards talk about light bulbs in closets being a covered fixture or compact fluorescent. That's actually the easiest way to fix that, compact fluorescent. Today's standards talk about handrails. They're not supposed to be blunt end and access to a blunt end. And they're also supposed to go from the tippy top to the stairs all the way to the bottom of the stairs. This is an old house with a new standard. It goes in the report, update as needed. Also not supposed to have big gaps and stuff like this on stairs. We recommend spindles be installed. Again, old house with a new standard, update as your need be. If you have children, you might be more concerned if you don't have children. These are just, this window is actually broken and not functioning. This is the window in the back in the living room. Now, the homeowner already knows about it, and there's a work order in and parts are ordered and they're supposed to fix it. So you'll just want to verify that it's working before you close. You'll have a walkthrough. I would get paperwork as well. Receptacles missing covers. There's a half a dozen of them around the house. We always recommend covers be installed. There's kitchen, bathrooms, kitchen, living room, in cabinets. There's a half a dozen of them. Improve weather seals as needed. GFCIs. GFCI it's a special receptacle that's got the little safety button on it. It's called a ground fault eliminator. Today's standards say that all outdoors, all garage, all bathrooms, and all kitchen receptacles should be GFCI protected. I don't think you had any GFCIs here, at least wise none that were working. That includes at the pool equipment, also not working. So pretty much a lot of GFCI work needs to be done all over the house. You'll just have to decide if you want to update to today's standards and put them in laundry rooms and everywhere that today's standards do, or just leave them into the wet area, requirement areas. It's up to you. Condition. Looking for problems. I don't see a lot of problems. Water shutoffs over on the left-hand side. Condition. Sidewalk, fair. For me, water meters out front. Trees off the house. There's these trees you're hanging over onto the house. They're inducive to damage into your shingles, and they're a rodent access point big time. You don't want either one of those. So trim the trees off the house. These trees are terrible for it. Condition. This shingle is actually torn loose or missing, or something has happened to it. It needs to be properly reinstalled and sealed down. Condition. Roof is not terrible. It's in fair condition for its age. It's 2016-ish, I believe the seller said. You'll want to request documents about it for your insurance company. You'll get a better rate. Gas lamp is not working. For me, the chimney, it's inaccessible. I can't see the tippy top of it. One of these days, if you're ever out and about and you're up there, just look at it and make sure that it's weatherproofed and weather sealed. It's a mortar. It's a mortar cap is what it's actually called. Sometimes they crack. I don't see a lot of problems in the fireplace, so I don't think there's a massive amount of issue up there. But it's just one of those things I can't see, so I have to report what I can't see. It's a maintenance and maintain as needed. Condition is very tall. There has been some previous cracking done, and it has been repaired. It hasn't cracked again that I can see.
Would you consider that an issue or just more like a veneer? Like
the brick?
The brick. I'm saying, would you consider that more of just a veneer, like a cosmetic looking?
Yes.
Or, yeah, not like foundation issue. No. Okay.
No,
perfect.
this is just wall movement.
Gotcha.
I don't have any indication of the foundation moving.
Okay. Perfect.
Just so you know. I mean, one crack in brick doesn't do it. And I say one because I didn't see a lot of cracking in brick.
Perfect.
They are also, a little bit of cracks in brick are common. They're normal and for most part cosmetic. The only time you got to worry about them is they start expanding so far that the water penetration can get in. We want to seal them up then. This one was actually what they call repointing. So they actually took the mortar out and then put new mortar back in. Sometimes people use sealant. Sometimes they use off-color mortar like this. I'm not sure why they wouldn't just use a a lighter color mortar.
Just imagine it.
Yeah, it's
Again,
just less.
This way is better than just sealing on the outside.
Yes.
Because they've actually fixed
This
the
is what you would call a professional repair.
professional repair.
This is exposed rebar. Now, I have to call the foundation deficient because this rebar is sticking out, but this is technically just a maintenance repair. It needs to be treated for rust, and just if you can stop the rust, that's the point, is stopping the rust. And they make a concrete patch repair, which is like an epoxy or a putty or a glue, and then you just put it on there. The point is don't let the rebar just continue to rust because it'll just keep busting out as it rusts, it expands, blah, blah, blah. It's
Any house that I've seen has these.
yes, they're very common.
They're very common. You just
Very
gotta
common.
do it.
It's just the rebar got too close to the outside edge when they poured the foundation. Very common. It is a maintenance issue, really,
Yeah.
even though I have to call it deficient. Service disconnect for the AC, that's for me. The unit is a 2016 and it's a 5-ton unit, so and it is working. It's a little bit out of level, so just monitor and maintain over time. The gates are kind of rough in the sense that this handle is loose. It's not spring loaded, it's not self-closing, it's not self-latching. It has interior and exterior access handles. If you have a pool, contact your insurance company and find out what the gate and security standards are for your policy. Some insurance companies have very stringent ones, some don't care. If you want to keep unwanted people out, then you probably need to tighten down the security here on your gates and fences. Entirely up to you. But your insurance company can dictate a lot of that issue if you're not careful. Water pressure is normal. This is actually what's called a gate valve. I suspect that this is a fill valve for the pool. I can't get this valve to open to test it. It's stuck tight. I mean, really tight. I'm not the strongest person alive, but I couldn't get it loose with my hand, and I'm not going to break it by putting a tool on it. So this needs to be freed and working, and if you find out that it is a pool fill point, which I believe it is, then this is required to have an air brake installed. An air brake is nothing more than a device that separates the pool water from the city system so that it's an anti-siphon device. It's called an air brake. It is required, and if in fact this is a pool fill gate valve, then there should be an air brake installed between the pool and the house. Very common. This is an old pool, and this is the old way.
Do we know the homeowner? Maybe I can ask the homeowner.
I didn't even think about asking him until just now.
Yeah.
Most of the time I don't ask him a lot because
Right. Yeah, sure.
this is seal and maintain as needed. It's a soffit crack. This is just another maintenance area where something got boogered up when they did the roof. And I don't know how many of these I'm going to see. There are very few of them. So
Right, okay.
this is just a boogered spot on the shingles. It probably had a tree or something up against it. Somebody busted it. Right now it's just a maintain as needed. This is the point where the water is coming off the roof and running down the wall. They make a device out there called a kick-out flashing. It's nothing more than a straight piece of flashing that goes out on an angle and it kicks it off of the wall. Typically, if you have a gutter installed, it knocks the water into the gutter, but you don't get this staining down the wall. It's a recommended update because nobody wants this staining on their wall. It just looks like heck. This is siding that's way down too close to the shingles. In today's world, they leave about 1.5 to 2 inches high, and it's just a way to keep the siding from touching the shingles. It helps it dry, it helps it maintain itself, and it doesn't stay soaking wet, and it doesn't deteriorate so quickly. They did some up here. They did have it cut up here pretty far up, but down here they left it touching the shingles. This is a maintenance tip. Soil's too high on the right-hand side. Check that left-hand side. When I talk about right or left, as if you're standing in front of the house, right, left. Keep the trees trimmed. Keep debris cleaned off. Dryer vent, this is an old dryer vent. You might want to consider updating it. It's there, it's going outside, so that's key. But, they make some really nice ones nowadays that are, they've little flap closers. It's called a backdraft preventer. Update as needed. Condition normal. All except for this. This is the water heater exhaust vent pipe. This is the old way. Anytime that any water heating update is done, we always recommend you update the exhaust system as well. This one was updated, and it was not updated properly. There's lots going on with the water heater. I'll talk about more on that when I get there. Condition. Debris piles. You don't want debris piled up around your house. This one happens to be at the garage. Doesn't matter. You don't want debris piled around the house. Receptacle is not GFCI protected. You see how they're broke too? There's a bunch of them. They're just old receptacles and they're broken. So this is an update as needed. But it does need to be GFCI protected. Gates should be self-closing, spring-loaded, self-closing, self-latching. Interior access only. Now with a short fence like this, that's not going to be as relevant, but you got to do what you got to do. Follow your insurance rules. Secure, just condition. I'm looking for problems. This is probably the worst deterioration that I've seen on the house. Now, it happens to be between the back of the house and the breezeway from the garage. There's one point there where apparently there's some excessive water coming down, and it has been for a while. But this is just deteriorated trim, deteriorated soffit, deteriorated this, fascia, and this is just up on the roof. So it's clearly somebody knows that something was happening, and this was a patch repair. Or patched. I wouldn't even call it a repair, but this is just patched. Probably want to work on this somehow, some way. I'm not exactly sure what the answer is, other than something's going to need to be done just for looks. It's not going to get better before it gets worse. This is just a deteriorated spot in the wood deck. There's only a couple of them, so it's not terrible, but I just taking pictures. I don't know how many I'm going to find. I think I found 2, maybe 3. Condition. 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 It's actually working, by the way. This is for me. The trees off the house, clean debris. The back of the house looks pretty good. There's a handful of things that I look for on roofing, and I didn't see a lot of it. It's very minute or very minor here, and either way, that's for me. I'm looking for that drain line. Gas meters are located in the back of the garage. Today's standards say that it should be bonded and grounded to the panel. It'll be easy to update if you want to do it. The soil's too high at the back of the garage. The debris pile at the back on the side of the garage. Condition. This is one of the things that I look for. These are called raised shingles. Now, this is called a lack of adhesion. In a nutshell, I believe these were just cut too wide. The shingles were cut too wide. Normally, they only overhang them this far. These look like they're overhung farther, and it causes them to, like, just hang. Not supposed to do that. I don't really know what can be done, to be honest with you, other than just get them sealed down a little bit and then maintain as needed. I suppose nothing's impossible. Maybe they could be trimmed some, but it's going to take a little something to do it. But either way, it's a maintenance project. Normal. Mostly normal. Pool light is working. Spa light is not working. And neither one of them are protected by GFCIs. So the pool and the spa light needs some sort of work. As far as either the spa needs lamp work, they both need GFCI work. GFCI protection is important for this. This is the pool condition at the finish. It's actually pretty good. Not sure what the age of it is, but the finish itself is pretty good condition. So that's a good thing, especially with all these trees around. I was expecting worse. Get a lot of staining when you got a lot of trees. Under today's standards, the pool is required to have 2 exit drains, okay? This has 1. Now, there's a couple different ways to skin this cat. This is the old way. They've got a raised cover on it. You just want to, the reason you want 2 drains is because you don't want any one of them drawing too hard. So you don't want kids down there playing around this drain. Young girls will get their hair down in there and they're stuck. Boys tend to sit on these things to try to close them off, and it'll suck them down. It's just a suction pump. So that's why there's supposed to be 2 now. They make some other unique style drains that are able to be updated and put in. Just do what you got to do for you and your family. Just so you know it. The deck is actually original. It's older and it's showing its age. Some of these expansion joint seals are damaged and weathered, so just update as needed. Some miscellaneous cracks in various places, weather seals, cracking. It's just older and showing its age. Not surprised. We got a robot cleaning system installed. It's running. It's called a Polaris. You'll get rid of it as soon as you have to work on it. The pool level is nice and even across. What I'm looking at is the water level based on the tile. Everything looks pretty reasonable. Everything looks pretty even. So that's a good thing. The fountain is working, but I cannot verify that this is protected by a GFCI either. So I think it's actually hooked to the pool pump. Never mind, it won't be protected. But the finish on the pool, on the fountain area is rough in a couple places. This is completely missing. This is kind of cracked. These are maintenance projects. Do what you got to do with them. The baskets are in good condition. These are just skimmer baskets. They're working. Water was moving. These are just condition shots. This is the control system for the lighting on the spa. It is not GFCI protected, not working. I don't know if it's the light or the control box. There's another rotten spot. Condition. We got a leak at the filter O-ring. This is kind of common, kind of normal, and it's basic maintenance.
And an O-ring is probably about $35.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, I just.
I haven't. I mean, I've bought one,
looked
but I bought one because mine was leaking, and then when I went back out there to replace it, it's quit leaking. so I didn't never replace it.
Okay.
And then next time I needed one, I forgot what I did with the old O-ring, and so I basically just when I took it apart, I used Vaseline on it, cleaned it up real good, and used Vaseline, put it back together. Still not leaking. So I have a new one.
Oh, okay.
I still don't know where it's at. But it's wild. This is me testing the heater. The heater is running. It's working. Okay? This is the bonding wire. This is not right. This bonding wire is supposed to be connected to all the pieces of equipment and then down to a ground rod. This needs to be repaired. The equipment needs to be bonded. The blower unit, I could not get this blower unit to turn on. We can ask the seller if there's a way, because sometimes there's a special switch somewhere.
Okay.
I didn't see any. You never know. But it's not properly connected, and I couldn't get it to work. We'll ask the sellers when he comes back.
Yeah.
This is just the motors and pumps. They're all decent. All these are decent. Everything is reasonable. The area needs to be kept clean as possible, clean and dry as possible. This is just kind of rough.
It seems like you maintained the actual pool pretty good.
Yeah. The pool's in good shape.
Not staining and everything.
Yeah. It's not stained up. It's actually, for its age, it's,
yeah.
But like I said, better than I expected because of all these trees. Trees are hard on pools. These are all normal. That's just a pool heater working. Now, the box cover is kind of rusted. It's rough. Doesn't need to be replaced yet, but it probably wouldn't hurt to get it maintained a little bit, just to try to keep the paint or try to keep the rust to slow down, because putting a new timer box in has some cost. There's no real hurry to do it, but it is more than average rust on it. Part of the reason this is so rusty is because this homeowner keeps his chemicals next to the equipment. That's not recommended. This is chlorine. Chlorine reacts to metal. And when metal is wet and it gets chlorine gas on it, you get rust. It'll leak through paint and everything else. That's part of the problem. So don't store your chemicals here. On that same note, don't store them in the garage under the service panel, because it will affect your service panel of the electric panel as well. Maybe get yourself a little bucket and put it over on the side. A storage container. That's what I got. I don't keep any of my chemicals in the house. Okay, the heater, because of the way the heater is plumbed, there's no access to this screw, so there's no screw in there. Somebody finally fought and got it out, but they didn't put it back in. That's just for me. Inside the heater is in fair condition. It's not terrible. It's actually pretty clean, what I was expecting. For me, this is called a TPR valve. It's a safety pressure relief valve. This is old, it's rusted, and it probably is not going to work. So it's recommended this be replaced. Your pool technicians can help you with all this. I'm looking for multiple problems, and I'm not seeing a lot of problems other than the TPR, but that's the type of heater you got. It's a Tempmaster 250. If this is missing a control handle, this is a handle that's good. This one's missing. Update as needed. They're very low to the ground, so probably got hit with a lawnmower. This is some past repairs. It just is. It's not leaking, but it's just rough. Normal. This is me turning it off. And I got a little bit of a leak at the pool cleaning pump. All right, just a little bit of a seep leak. They're common, they're normal, and just got to monitor it over time. Condition, 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 more condition. The garage is full, so I didn't get to see anything in the garage except the service panel, and I had to dig for that. Here's the service panel. Everything about the service panel is pretty normal for the time period. Today's world, we have to talk about anti-oxidizing grease. That's an update. Today's world, we don't get to land 2 wires under 1 screw. That's an update. It's called double tapping. Today's world, these breakers should be tied together. Anytime you see a black and a red wire together, that's called a shared neutral. So these are supposed to be shared so that they trip, both of them trip when one trips, because it's on the same neutral. These are all update items. This is just what I call a non-professional installation. As a former electrician, you do not use green tape on anything that lands on a hot wire. And I know it's used as marking tape. They should have used anything but green. Anything but green and white, because those have very specific reasons and uses. There's a ton of different colors of tapes, and they used the wrong one. So this is just me complaining, sorry. Just non-professional is what I call it. But it's actually pretty normal, actually improved from some panels that could be installed. It has been updated. All these are just shots of all the different heat that's in the panel. Nothing is out of the ordinary, and nothing is anywhere near an unsafe temperature. This one says 92, 93 degrees, which is in the electrical world is nothing. I don't worry about it till it hits 140. There is an improper screw that was used. You're supposed to be a special screw called a blunt tip. This one's pointy. It's an update. The garage door is older, a couple of dents and dings, and the weather seal's torn up. Okay, today's rule says that this photo eye can only be 6 inches off the ground, but it is working, so update it if you want to. Oh, this is the area between the house and the garage. We always just recommend rodent proofing that. There are some talk about trying to fire rate proof it too, but rodent's going to be your bigger issue, to be honest with you. This is for me. I'm looking for at the laundry room facilities. I've tried to see if there was gas down there, but there's a lot of stuff back there. I really didn't see a gas valve, and that's all I could. I've just tried to identify that. You do have electric for sure, and there's so much stuff back there I can't see if there's a gas valve back there. This is a bathroom. GFCI is required. We already talked about those. Water temperature is set higher than average. Okay, I've got some 150 temperatures almost. That's unsafe hot, especially if you have kids. I would adjust it down. You do what you want to do. Under today's standards, there's a handful of rules that kick in for water heaters. This house doesn't have any of them. It's recommended that it have a pan installed so that if it leaks, not if, when it leaks, it drains outside, or at least wise to a safe area. There's supposed to be a sediment tee on this gas line. It's not supposed to be bent hard like that. It's called overbending. This is a manufacturer's install deficiency. Okay, water heaters that are in closets are required to have exterior air for both combustion and for exhaust. This doesn't have any. This device here is called the TPR piping. There's rules about TPR piping, and this doesn't meet any of them. So recommend updating this TPR piping. This is actually a flex line, which is not allowed, and it's kinked, which is definitely not allowed. So it's a restriction for the TPR safety valve. This probably needs to be looked at.
A TPR safety valve.
Yes.
Explain that what that is again.
TPR is an acronym for temperature and pressure relief valve, and it's temperature and pressure relief. So if the temperature gets too high or too much pressure, boom, it's supposed to go off, and water's supposed to flow out to relieve the pressure. Water's not going to flow properly through this device because this is wrong. Okay, it's a restriction. It's a restricted line. It's restricted by both diameter and by the kinking.
Joy Lopez.
It's located in a closet in the laundry room. It is a 2020 install, and it's a 40-gallon. I know you're thinking, why would they install it, all this stuff being wrong? You got to ask the people that installed it. Yeah. I don't know about any of this. I don't know if these lines, they are braided lines. I see them, but I can't tell you they're rated for hot water heater. There are there are rules about
Dora Lopez.
there are rules about the lines that are used to supply these things, and these very well could be rated. I just don't know it. This is just overbending of that line. Just bent here hard, it's bent there hard. Dishwasher's in good shape, that's for me. They didn't put a clamp on the connection for the dishwasher to here. Now, I'm not sure what kind of hose that is, but I always see clamps on there. I would recommend you put a clamp on there. It's not leaking, there's no problems, but
Does it have,
just a matter of time
Right.
for that,
And did it have the air gap up there for that one as well?
no.
No.
Or a high loop. So there's no high loop. There's no
okay.
high loop either. Now, with this type of dishwasher, I'm sure it's on the dishwasher.
Oh, okay.
But my standards say I have to see it,
Right.
and I can't see it. Sealant at the back of the sink. This is maintenance. Oven condition, oven serial number. We always recommend these vents be installed. This is one's loose. This is an old water leak from back when the air conditioner was leaking in the pan upstairs or whatever it was. It is not wet anymore. Right now, it's just a stain.
So it could have been 10 years old. Could have been, who knows?
It's really old. Just
Really
based on
old.
based on the brown, it's
Okay.
really old.
It's really old.
This is what happens when it gets old.
And no other moisture signs in the house?
I didn't find any other moisture issues in the house,
Perfect.
and I didn't find any drain issues. I didn't find any supply line issues. I looked under ceilings. I looked under all the ceilings under bathrooms. I didn't see anything
Perfect.
as far as water.
Okay.
GFCI required. This is a little bit lower than average water flow at the primary bathroom. My tests consist of multiple devices running at the same time and in test flow. This is less than average flow for a shower when you have multiple devices running. Now, this is also a very large shower head, so that could have something to do with it. Being all this is new, maybe somebody just didn't put the cartridge in just right. So maybe there's a cartridge that's out of adjustment, and instead of having full flow because the holes are lined up, that it's not lined up all the way. I've heard of that happening. So ultimately, if it becomes an issue for you, then you got to get a plumber out here to look at that cartridge, because sometimes that cartridge gets spins and it changes the flow. This is the only device in the house that I noticed low flow at, which tells me that it's this device, not the house.
Gotcha. That's good.
Now, it also happens to be a new build device, so I don't know if they just undersized the lines. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Or is there some restriction in there? I don't know.
Water saving capabilities or something.
Maybe so. Maybe they're like, yeah, you can only use half-inch lines now, or, people do all kinds of weird stuff. But it has been remodeled. It's all normal. It's all normal. Water temp, that's 143. Now you're getting unsafe hot. Condition, it's full. This fan is broken. This is the other flow. This is good flow. And now the water temperature is at 140, 145, 146. So it's getting hot. This is just for me. This needs some maintenance. It's dirty.
But you wouldn't consider this looks more. I'll go look at it.
Looks like dirt.
It just looks dirt. Okay.
Looks like dirt.
All right.
Not mold.
Not mold. Perfect.
Well, I mean, I didn't test for mold, but,
Yeah, but
mold
you-
doesn't do this.
Right. Correct.
This is air blown, which says dirt
Dirt.
to me.
Which is normal. You just got to wipe it down.
Yeah, it's clean the paint.
Yeah.
If it even needs paint, it might just need clean. I'd vacuum it first. It might just take it right off. For me, although it's probably not going to come off with a vacuum because it's in a wet area. So I'm guessing that the dust just stuck to it because it was wet. Today's standards about fire rated, no sticker. Condition, a little less than average amount of insulation, only because it's older and it has settled and softened out. Condition. Everything about the house is old school. I'm not surprised. Thin insulation. Everything is old school still. Old thin insulation. Old framing. Old house.
But not bad necessarily. Just
No, just done the old way.
Yep.
Old ductwork, which is also not terrible. It's actually better than some of the flex stuff they put in now. This is all the hard stuff. I wouldn't shake that for nothing.
Okay.
Insulate, and this is a drain line. There's a couple of updates that we recommend out there for drain lines. This one needs them all. So it's just contact your HVAC technician, find out what his opinion is on all these different things they can do. I have my own. I put a note in the report. Anytime that's just an older house with a new update, even if I have to check it as deficient, I say consider updating and consider repairs. Okay? This is one of those you should consider. Today's stand, this is called the maintenance tube. There ought to be a wet trap back here. A wet trap is nothing more than a water plug to keep, this is going to a vent, so it's an update. Inside the furnace, it's actually in good condition for me. I don't recommend that the overflow drains be plugged. Contact your HVAC technician and find out what they want to do. Because a lot of people like to plug them because they don't want some nuisance dripping in the pan. There's ways to fix that as well, but do what you gotta do. It's an update. There's less than average insulation in a few places, and then there's some other places that it's entirely missing. Okay, it was done during the remodel of the home. AC output is good. This is completely missing. The insulation is completely missing above the new bathroom. So whoever did the remodel, they didn't put insulation.
They moved it over there.
Yeah, they ain't enough over there. I would just put new in. I wouldn't even fight with that whole stuff.
No, you know.
But see, this is the line that they use. So it's got galvanized water lines through most of the house, except for this update where they use CPVC.
All right.
This is for me. I'm using the infrared all over the house. I'm looking for various types of problems with the electric and with the water and with the drain systems, and I'm not finding problems, which is a good thing. So I'm going to breeze through them because these are shots of no problems. And I take a lot of them. I actually look a lot of places that I don't even take pictures. That's what the ceiling looks like when there's no insulation. You see the cold, it's even, the inside ceiling is hotter than the light fixture. That little blue spot is that light fixture. Air filter is installed. Maintain as needed. Well, this is a pain in the butt one because it's got screws. It's got a screw.
Right.
Sometimes they just got latches and hinges. Yeah. It is what it is. This is me resetting the thermostat. GFCI is required. More infrared shots under the sinks. The exhaust fan is working. The gas valve is located underneath the cooktop. That needs a cover plate. There's a half a dozen around the house. Cooktop is working. Oven is working. It is working at the minimum standards. I set it at 350. It only got to 325. There is a calibration out there. Consider calibrating. It depends on how much you bake. Condition is actually normal. I mean, there's no leaking, so that's what I'm looking for. It does have a lot of a mixing of the drain lines. This is some metal line. This is some corrugated line. None of this stuff is recommended anymore. It is an old house, so one of these days you'll want to update it and you'll put in all PVC. But it's not leaking. That's what's key. Looking for water problems. No issues. Receptacle cover missing. It's on top of the fireplace mantle.
Okay.
Working. Water temp. That's it.
Okay. So overall, your opinion, I mean, you know, besides the fine details like that, not too bad of a house?
Not too bad it's pretty standard for an old house.
Okay.
Several different update things, especially GFCIs inside and out. Smoke detectors, no smoke detectors at all. So I recommend updating those.
There's no smoke detectors in here?
Not that matter.
Oh, okay.
They're supposed to be in bedrooms,
Okay.
sleeping rooms,
Right.
and they're supposed to be in hallways outside of sleeping rooms. Okay. I think there's like maybe one in the whole house, and that's,
Okay.
it's all moved. You know.
And then also in the pool condition, overall a pretty good.
Overall, pretty good. There's always looks like there's some do-it-yourself repairs been done to some of the equipment. And,
Yeah. And we'll go ask
the blower
him.
unit we're going to check on because I didn't find a switch anywhere to operate it, but sometimes you just never know where people put the switch. I can see a weird box out on the wall back there. I don't know what all that piping is. That might be what that thing is feeding. Maybe it's some sort of homemade installed sprinkler system in the back. I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe that feeds that line,
Uh-huh.
which feeds, and that's where the air brake used to be, and you know what I mean? So
Right.
I don't see an air brake for the pool feed. So if that's for the pool, then it needs an air brake between the pool and the home system.
All right. Perfect.